This video is about making this basket weave pattern bowl. I'll start with the design. I use Segment Pro to help with the shape and the calculations of wall thickness. I also used it to paint the segments into the basket weave pattern. Then I exported the cut sheet into a spreadsheet to do the wood width and length calcs, and I used this cut sheet for every row and the pattern to put it together. Okay, I've gathered the wood I need for the two painted bowls that I'm going to make. And first step is cut them into manageable lengths and then plane them all to the same thickness. So all the wood is cut into similar widths, all 0.85 to 0.9 inches thick. Plenty thick enough to split into two rings after I make them. Next step is to rip them into the widths that I need and the lengths that I need of each width. Okay, ready to cut segments. I am setting up to do 36 segments. So, time to put the base ring together for both bowls. I'll just show one. Okay, looks pretty good, and the fit's good. So it's ready for glue up. Okay, I have 6 each of the purple heart and yellow heart. I'll continue with the other woods. Ready to put the first ring together. And this one should have a pattern like this. So I'm going to put it together that way. So that is the pattern, and it should repeat all the way around just like that. So at this point, I have the base ring for both bowls cut, and this ring will be, after gluing together and trimming it a little bit on the drum sander, I will split the ring, and it'll be the first ring on top of the base ring for both bowls. So each ring I do from now on, all the way up to the top, each ring will become 2 rings, one for each bowl, which is why I'm making 2 bowls in the first place. Okay, I am going to flatten the base ring for sure completely, so it's ready to glue on, and I'm going to flatten the other ones a little bit before I split them. This one has the mahogany sticking up a little bit. The other one actually has the wenge sticking up a little bit. It really doesn't matter. You just want to be close. And I could turn it, but I think I can sand it down, especially with the mahogany sticking up. The next ring will come in maybe a 1/2 inch on this mahogany. So the mahogany then will be sandwiched between the two, but I do not want this to get glued to the next ring. So what I'm doing is putting on a little bit of wax, and I don't want to get it on the wingay. Now that I have the bottom ready to accept a ring, I need a ring to put on there. So this is the bottom ring above the wingay. So it's the next one, and I'm going to split it to make 2 rings, one for each bowl. So you can see the cut is close to the middle, not quite, but as long as I have a 1/4 inch on each side, I'm good, and it looks good enough. So I'm going to rotate and make the next pass. So there's 1 ring for each bowl. I am going to sand them until I get it down to 0.25. That's my ring height that I want. When these are not symmetrical, right here I have a symmetrical pattern, but here not, there is a orientation that's important. So I have put an arrow up. That way up is from the bottom up. So the ring needs to go in this way. So it's black, red, black, purple, yellow. So if you flip it over, it's the same. So up and down doesn't matter on this one. However, you do need to get it oriented in the correct way here. Purple should go right and black should go left. So it should be that configuration. And I have not put glue on yet. So I'm just going to do a little match mark here so I don't mess it up. Okay, ready for glue. So I've got the first 2 rings glued on, and I let it dry overnight just because I was at a stopping point yesterday. Every time I get to a stopping point on a new day, I just sand just to make sure everything's flat. So it's time to add the next ring, and again, I put an arrow on the orientation, and that becomes the trick from here on anytime you have a non-symmetrical ring, to make sure you have that right. So that's the pattern I'm looking for, where there's 3 yellows, and this one, the purple ends and turns into wingay, and that's correct on the pattern. Black's going that way, red's going that way, so that's my lineup. This is yesterday's work of making rings. I now can mass split and sand rings, but it's really critical to mark them so that you remember which one's which. So this one's 8 and up. So I'm marking them on the inside. You can also mark them here now that the sanding's complete. That's ring 8, and this one's ring 9. Well, I have the first 6 rings on. I've already turned the outside just to round it out, not final turning. I'm working on the inside, and I'm going to go for making the inside as close to done as possible. By the time you get to this state or stage of the bowl, the pattern should be pretty obvious. In this case, I want the white, the maple lining up with the block in there, and everything else should be in line, but that's the thing to check. I'm about to glue on the final ring on the top, and then there'll be a little bit of turning on the inside. It is done down to these 2 rings. And then finish up the outside, and it will be done. So the turning is complete, and it's ready for sanding. I already did finish the inside of the bowl as far as my fingers can reach. It's sanded and has finish applied, so I'll sand just that much of the inside bowl and then the whole outside. Sanding is complete. I'm going to apply 2 coats of shine juice, friction polish. So today I am going to apply 2 coats of carnauba wax, and then cut the bowl off, and then it'll be done. I've got enough weight hanging out here that I am a little worried about doing the cutoff because it may break prematurely, so I'm going to support it from the other end. I'm using this foam just to keep from scratching or marring the finish.